Hey everyone, we have some pretty big Grim Dawn news today. In the Grim Misadventures 82, released today, Zentai detailed the devotion system. So what I'm going to do in this video is I'm going to read verbatim the forum post while looking at the images that were posted, and I'm going to add my speculative commentary in to what he said the devotion system's going to be. And this is great because now we can stop speculating over what devotion was and we can start speculating about what devotion is. So I'm just going to jump right into it. Now I'm reading his words, so when he says we, it's not me, it's them, so you get it. Welcome to Grim Misadventures, the premier source for all official Grim Dawn information. Today's update has been a long time in coming, and we're excited to finally reveal to you the biggest thing to happen in Grim Dawn since sliced bread was first sliced. The feature that everyone's been waiting for, but nobody's really quite sure what it is. Well, the time has finally come for the big reveal. No more secrets, no more deflections, no more vague answers. So without delay, let's dive into ... devotion. So, when we first thought of devotion, the devotion system, many moons ago, we knew that we wanted to create something that would provide players with a staggering amount of choices, something that would have you pondering the vast possibilities for hours on end. What followed was the culmination of many months of design, coding, and art that came together to create the final layer of build customization in Grim Dawn. So, first image. How devoted are you? You will begin your journey through the celestial map at the Burial Hills Cave, where you will discover the first of many shrines scattered throughout the world of Karn. These shrines have seen better days, especially following the Grim Dawn, and some require attention. And require some attention. A little different there. The first shrine will be simple. Just a meager offering of an aether crystal to appease the spirits and restore the shrine to its former glory. But all will not come so easily. Some shrines are corrupted by darkness, a darkness that must be purged before the shrine's divine light can be revealed. So, first shrine, I think this is probably gonna be the one in Burial Hill at the very beginning of the game where the Reanimator is. And I think, if you remember the cave, there's sort of a bridge, and then you walk around, and then there's the Reanimator fight, and then there's sort of like that little, like, inset area that goes deeper in the cave, and there's like an aether crystal cluster down there. I think this is that shrine that's going to be there. I mean, I'm just speculating wildly on this, but I do think that shrine is going to be the shrine that is the Burial Hill Shrine. So, that's a corrupted shrine, and I would imagine there's a mob you got to kill to decorrupt it. And then, that's what a shrine looks like when it's restored. When you restore a shrine, you get 1 point of devotion and some mortal treasures. So it's kind of like you get this point of devotion and you get some fat loots. Okay, so devotion points are spent in the devotion window, which is accessed through the skill window. This UI, which will fill up your entire screen regardless of resolution, is where you can devote yourself to ancient symbols and deities, forgotten marks of faith and divine power. You can earn a total of 50 devotion points throughout your adventures, though that sort of power can only be achieved by playing through ultimate difficulty. So what he's saying there is, throughout normal/veteran, elite, and ultimate, there are going to be 50 devotion points in total. It's not like you can only get devotion in ultimate. It's throughout, as far as I'm reading, it's throughout all the difficulties. Okay, there is a total of 79 constellations, each with about 3 to 8 stars for a total of 425. With 50 devotion points, you can fill up about 12% of this massive celestial map. But you cannot simply pick and choose the stars you want. The constellations serve a greater purpose. You see, each constellation is aligned with a combination of affinities: Ascendant, Chaos, Eldritch, Order, and Primordial. This means that every devotion point will be critical to your ultimate build. The constellations available early have no affinity requirements, predictably enough, but bestow upon you a significant affinity bonus when completely filled. The most powerful constellations do not grant any affinity at all, but instead have high requirements, which means you must meet through other constellations. Affinity is not spent to unlock constellations. Instead, your totals must meet or exceed the requirements. This makes it possible to unlock several high-end constellations, though that may take immense amounts of dedication for specific affinities. Should you change your mind about the constellations you've unlocked, you can visit the Spirit Guide to undo your choices, but be aware you cannot undo a constellation which grants you affinity to another constellation you have points in. If you're brave enough to face off against the Nemesis spawns, you may be lucky enough to acquire a Tonic of Clarity, which will completely reset your devotion choices. So I'm going to note here, this is basically like a passive tree, where you can't undo things that are requirements for other things you have. You'd have to undo those things, then go through the requirements. It's like you can't drop Albrecht's Aether Ray to 0 if you have points in Disintegration. That's totally fine by me, and I think that's how it'd work regardless. But also, if you fight lots of Nemesis spawns, like I do, you may be lucky enough to acquire Tonics of Clarity, which just wipe the map so you can start over. And that's pretty cool that they're putting more into Nemesis spawns now. Okay, so this is the next paragraph is where we get the really fun stuff. Devotion bonuses and secondary effects. You may be asking yourself, why do I want to invest in this devotion business? Why? Immense power, of course. Each star you put a point into gives you a passive bonus. This can just be anything. This can be just about anything you can find on equipment, ranging from attributes to damage to resistance and even more. But some constellations provide special powers not found anywhere else. When you unlock these bonuses, you will earn access to what we are calling secondary effects. Secondary effects are unique skills which have a chance to trigger off of your spells and abilities within your masteries. There are a total of 43 different secondary effects dotting the night sky with their golden magic. What mastery skills they can be assigned to varies from effect to effect, but they are very flexible. Take a look at just a few of the examples. So that last sentence, what mastery skills they can be assigned to varies from effect to effect, tells me that these abilities are going to be linked to one of your mastery abilities. So what I'm thinking is like, Raise the Dead, 25% chance on enemy death. You'd assign that to your main attack, and then when that wipes an enemy out, there's a 1 in 4 chance you raise up a skeleton. And that could be done for any build. Now, before we actually look at these in depth, there's 2 sentences I still need to read. But wait, there's more. You may have noticed that secondary effect tooltips have experience values. Yes, these abilities will gain ranks as you use them, slowly building up power as you do. Dedication to these secondary effects will take time, but the reward is well worth it. Should you change your mind about secondary effects you wish to use, don't worry. You can change them at any time within the devotion window. Any experience earned from a secondary effect is retained, but it will not earn experience while it is not assigned to one of your abilities. So what this is saying is these experience values, they'll increase. I would assume as you just progress, and by experience they mean experience, as in the experience you would normally get to level up. It would also count towards these abilities. So what this means is these abilities, some of them, like this one and this one, are going to take a really long time to level up, but they provide bigger effects, while you have the smaller abilities here. So I think that's really cool, and I think it's really cool to have these abilities independent of your class and gear that are going to get stronger as you have them equipped. And I just think it's going to be just a really, like, the system is just looking really cool so far. So just based off these 4 abilities. So let's go through them really quick before I start rambling on and on and on about it. So Raise the dead, 25% chance on enemy death. Raise the dead to serve you. The necrotic energies required for this ritual are very unstable, however, and the undead minions will only exist for a limited time. So, as you kill enemies with whatever ability, I would assume this is how it's going to work. You assign this to an ability. Whenever you kill enemies with that ability, you have a chance to raise skeletons. They live for 10 seconds by default. You can have 3 of them. They have a 2-second recharge in between the ability proccing to summon them. And, you know, they're basically going to sit there and whack enemies. I think just whatever skeletons do for attacks. But as that grows, if you look, the damage from the skeletons increases. The slow proc they have increases. Their health, energy regen, and total damage increase. And they live longer. So, get this to 12 or whatever the max is going to be, 16. And you'll probably have skeletons alive for 30 seconds at a time. Adding 3 more pets to whatever menagerie of crazy petness you're using. Or if you're not a pet build, you could integrate this in. Maybe get a few pet bonuses, and you suddenly have skeletons to help you. It's pretty cool. So Hammer and Anvil, enter a balanced combat stance that is equal parts offense and defense. This is for your sword and board style physical fighters. They gain, for 10 seconds, you gain increased physical damage, internal drama damage, armor, and shield damage block. And then that increases over time. Tsunami. A torrent of water crashes down upon any foes unfortunate enough to be standing in front of you. I think this is going to be that animation that the Sloth use, where they like wag their tail and a wave goes out. I think that's going to be that animation, but for the player. Now this is cold and lightning damage across that like long stretch in front of you. So I could see this working for, like, say that warrior mage I made, where he's just gonna be sitting there smacking the enemy with a sword. 10% chance on his cadence to proc tsunamis while he's dropping his Trojan Sky Shards. So that would be a very, like, mesh it together type of build. And that could also work for Nightblades and Shamans, who are geared towards cold and lightning. And this final one is, I think, my favorite of the 4, because of its potential. Meteor Shower. At your behest, the sky splits open to unleash a barrage of molten rock. This deals physical fire, and it burns enemies. So I think what this is going to be, is it Grobels? Grobel Shamans? They occasionally have something where they'll drop like this. They'll drop flaming meteors on you. They look like sky shards, but they're fire. I think that's what this is, because it says 8 meter target area, 2 meter radius. I think it's going to be multiple rocks are going to fall within that 8 meter target radius. So the speculation in my head is I equip this to my Aether Ray, and then because I have a lot of fire damage, the fire damage on that gets built up. But also if you do a lot of, say, convert physical to Aether, suddenly this physical damage becomes a lot of Aether damage. Or convert physical to fire. That would work too. So I could see using the beam and then meteors fall. Or if you're, like, say, using a dual wield pistol, cadence, or fire strike setup, all of a sudden you have a 10% chance on every pistol shot to have rocks fall from the sky. And it meshes with the damages. That's probably why it also costs 170,000 experience per rank. I'd assume Meteor Shower is one of the higher end abilities you could get out of this, as is Raise the Dead. While Hammer and Anvil and Tsunami are more like simple and easier things to get because they have such a low experience. At least to get to the second rank. I would assume they would increase the experience requirement every time. So, anyways, I was really bullish on Devotion before the concept was revealed like this. I think most people were thinking it was going to be, we'll get to that image in a second. I think most people were thinking it was going to be something along the lines of a passive grid, or even just another skill window that maybe had themes for every passive point. But this is so much more, and so much more in depth and bigger than I think anyone really thought it was going to be. And I think it's really awesome. Oh, well, I mean, I think it's pretty obvious this is where Hammer and Anvil comes from. I don't know what the Meteor one would be. I mean, this is such a gorgeous looking window. I may trim out the two boxes and turn it into a background image. Anyways, I was really bullish on Devotion before, and now I'm like, just give me a lot of details, because I really, really want to play with it and work out, noodle out all of the details and in-depth things to apply it to builds. And I think Devotion is going to be the big thing for Devotion. Is in Grim Dawn, builds are pretty viable already, and you can pretty much build almost anything you want and make it work. And I really love that Grim Dawn allows you to do that. It allows you to sort of take, like, in my case, that Albrecht's Aether Ray Arcanist, and then combine it to Demolitionist abilities. And because I did that, he's really tanky, and he has that stun bomb, and it sort of shores up the weaknesses of having, a sit and channel ability. And I think that the Devotion system is going to take builds that work great and make them greater, and builds that were, good but could use a little work. It's going to take those builds and make them great. It's just going to push the viability of pretty much every build completely up, because this will allow you to shore up the weaknesses of a build, reinforce the strengths of a build. So those two things are going to be huge, because this is completely independent of your class, and it's going to really help all of the builds you could think of work better, work smoother, work more efficiently, or just be more fun. Whatever you prefer playing, this is going to help reinforce that. So, what do you guys think of Devotion? I'm really, really excited for it. I think this is exactly what the game needed to sort of set it apart from other games, because now we have a skill system with this crazy passive grid, but the passive grid is more than a passive grid. It's actually got a lot of flavor and depth to it. It's not just a passive grid. And I think between the skills, the way gear is set up, the amount of attributes your character can have, and Devotion, I think we're going to get really awesome variety of characters, and I think this is really what Grim Dawn needs to push it into prime time. And I think Devotion, with the whatever Act 4 is going to bring us, is really going to push the game into if not a lot of notoriety, it's going to be a massively awesome independent title. So yeah, what do you guys think of Devotion? Because I'm really bullish on it, obviously. And I'd like to hear opinions and start a discussion in the comments below. If you like Devotion, if you hate Devotion, what you want to see out of it, what you want to speculate about it. I'd love to hear your comments. So please leave them below. And now we're going to go to this last image. And I figure this is a perfect video to do the first end slate on, because I'm doing a slideshow. I can just slideshow to this. So yeah. Thanks for watching, everyone. If you liked this video, please subscribe above or below, or leave a like or a comment, and I'd love to hear what you think about Devotion. You can also, if you really like my channel and you really like what I'm doing, you can go support me on Patreon, patreon.com/wolfoverclocked. You can also check out my non-gaming personal channel, where I do lots of art videos, where I did the art basically for this background. You can also find me on my social media stuff, Twitter and Tumblr. I'm wolfoverclocked.net. Oh, and the YouTube channel is just wolfoverclocked. So thanks for watching, everyone. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I'll see you guys next time.